I have always wanted to stay in an Airstream. So when I saw that they had Airstreams on this property, I was so stoked. AutoCamp was a bit of an experiment to see what I liked and what I think my family would like as well, which I am very excited to bring them back here because there's kids and so many different activities. It would be a very easy little staycation. Hey, I'm Patrick, and these are the 9 things I pack for a stay at AutoCamp Cape Cod. For the most part, I would say fashion, lifestyle, cocktails, cameras are kind of the things that I like to orbit. It's easy to create content about things that you're passionate about or things that you really like. I'm not gonna take anything too seriously, except an outfit and a good cocktail. Those we need to take seriously. I am really here to have a good time and to take some good photos, and usually found with what I would deem a good book. I grew up in a small town in Minnesota, and right after college, I followed a girl out to New York. 10 years later, we were still there, got married, had a baby, and now we moved back to Minnesota. Here's the first bit of our 9 items. Not in my bag, it's one of my best friends, Scott. We went biking yesterday, we went swimming in the ocean, all of which is like right down the road. I should mention, I have not seen him in almost 10 years. So it was a big hug. It was a very nice little moment for him and I to connect. When Scott and I rolled in, the staff was incredibly helpful. They're like, what's your vibe? What are you looking for? Pulled out a map. They're like, we're gonna go here. If you're looking for like more divey stuff, you can go here. There's this great pub around the corner. And all of a sudden there were like 20 recommendations, and I could only hope that I had another stomach because I wanted to try it like 7 or 8 places. Item number 2, this is one of my favorite, most prized possessions. A camera, because I adore making memories and I am a sucker for nostalgia. This was a wedding gift from my wife. She was like asking all my photo buddies, she's like, Patrick really likes this camera and like, I don't know which one it is, can you help me out? And then one day she was like, ta-da! That's why it means the world to me. No, I'm like getting like all emotional about it. Item number 3, if you journal, you know that you never have enough journals. I write down a lot of things that my son does. I have like his second step on film. The photo's blurry, but you know, you can't really account for when someone's gonna take their first steps. So this is a good way to kind of throttle back on life, even if it's like a couple sentences. The journal tends to be a lot deeper, more self-reflective for myself, and also like a good place for memories, feelings, things like that. Next item, my phone. I think every night so far, I've had the pleasure of like talking to my son like via video call. Everything around me, all the nature, he's just like, Dad, that looks awesome. That he did say, can quote that. Dad, that looks awesome. So that's one more reason to bring him back and just be like, go to town. Next item, a book. When I travel, I really try to connect with an author or someone that came from where I'm going. Because finding some bits of history or someone who spent their entire life there, even if it's completely made up, it's still fun to catch a vibe and almost like step into that character's shoes. And another great campfire activity, just kick back and crack open a book. This has traveled with me, man, for like almost like 8 years. I like to associate music with where I'm going. So I'll probably have an album that plays pretty heavily during a trip. So the next time I listen to that album, I'm like, oh man, like remember that trip to Cape Cod? Like that was sick. And so this is one of those ways to help kind of like anchor memories. And again, back to nostalgia. Next item, I brought a scent because, again, it's kind of like the music. When I go somewhere, I like to have an association. It specifically says, memory in a fragrance. Can't even make that up. Everything here with the wind coming off the ocean, the amount of nature around you is really, really lovely. It's a very peaceful smell. It all feels like an adventure, but a very homey one. Like I said, I've never stayed in an Airstream, but the minute I walked in, I was like, oh, like this feels like home, and immediately feels cozy. It feels great, and I really appreciate that because whether it's a guy's trip, whether it's you and your family, like, you just feel comfortable. One of the things I love about this property, it was 15 minutes to the ferry. It's like 15 minutes to downtown. Main Street's right around the corner. There's a bike rental service, which means everything is taken care of. The options are pretty endless, and it's a very comfortable distance from anything you might need from town. What do we have in the bag of fun? We have a traveling cocktail kit. Something I find comforting is sitting around the fire with a friend and making a cocktail. My go-to's typically an old fashioned because there's something about that drink in particular and the fire. They just seem to go hand in hand. At the very least, if the conversation's bad, at least you have a good cocktail. So either way, you're gonna come out on top with that one. Packing for this trip was two things: very fun and a breeze. Because I knew that I would be taking a ferry at some point, but I also knew that I was gonna be rocking around like a campfire. I wanted to bike to the beach, and I needed a wardrobe that could do all those things. This is the outfit I would bring when I'm thinking about having this old fashioned later. Not only do we have the dinner jacket, but we also have a lovely little ascot. I added that at the last minute because I thought it had a nice little nautical flair, and I just think it's cute. So this, some matching linen pants to go with it, staying on par with our Cape Cod, like easy breezy, we're here to have a good time kind of vibe. When I travel somewhere, I like to plan my outfits almost around the location. My life at home and my life here are vastly different, so why not switch the outfit up at least a little bit? Coming from a small town in Minnesota, fashion was always important to me because it was my way of expressing who I am and, to be honest, standing out. And it's a really fun way to express how I'm feeling. Thank you for joining me on my stay and helping me unpack my 9 things. Now, the only thing left to do is make a s'more, enjoy this cocktail, and one more beautiful night at AutoCamp Cape Cod. I'll see you next time.